I'm Sis from ComX, and we're here with EsKay to talk about his latest Kickstarter. And joining me is the amazing Lucas. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lucas, because this is our first show.
Okay, I'm Lucas, also known as LA Kime. I'm the founder of Free for Comics, which is a little indie comic book company based in Brisbane, Australia, which we hope to be a big company eventually. But yeah, we're here to support other indie creators because giving back is what we do. And as indie creators, like, it's good to give back and promote other people's work. And there's so many talented people out there that just need that platform to launch off. And if we're doing it together, we feel it's a better space to be in. So yeah, that's what brought us here.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So, EsKay, our first question for you is to tell us a little about yourself first. Just let the crowd who doesn't know you get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, look, thanks for having me on. It's always great to be here. And I'm actually really excited. This is the first time, so I'm like the guinea pig.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you so much. Oh, look, I'm I love nerds, and we'll lead all into that. So I'm actually a Ringo nominated letterer. I letter a lot. So I work for a couple of publishers which I do lettering for. It's something which I find really interesting, and if you gave me 2 hours, I'm more than happy to talk your year off, show you examples. We might save that for another day if you like,
Yeah,
but
we'll save that for another day.
it's definitely a passion of mine, and that's actually where it leads into with Wordsmith, which is actually one of my earlier titles. I have to freely say that it's actually one of my absolute favorites because
Oh,
it's one of the first couple of things when I first got into creating comics. It was one of the things I always wanted to do, and I did some other stuff first, mainly because I didn't know I was ready enough to give it the. I wasn't good enough to create it the way I wanted it.
yeah.
And if you know, what a lot of creators will always say is you've got that image of the book in your head or the movie in your head, and sometimes the movie in your head is always going to be better than the movie on paper, the one you write down, the one you actually make.
Yeah.
um, you've got that perfect vision for it on your head. And by the way, my advice for a lot of those things is just write it down. It will never be the way you see in your head. It will never be perfect. It's better done than perfect. Yeah, so I got the year before that, I actually was a Ringo nominated creator for Fractured Shards. So
Oh,
they
wow.
invited me up to Baltimore for the ceremony, which was a lot of fun. I didn't get to go. Long story short, didn't get to go. They tried to tempt me with cakes, so there was a full free dinner. You got fish cakes, and man, the guest list there was absolutely crazy. You could have met all these wonderful people. I couldn't get to go. Actually had a family vacation at the same time, so
Yeah.
I rather miss out on that than have my
Mm.
wife and family kill me. So I
Yeah,
took
yeah.
I took the family vacation. So no, but look, if I ever get nominated again, which I'm really awesomely happy to get nominated twice already. Um,
Yeah.
maybe I'll go again, but yeah. Uh, in terms of actual stuff that I like to write and stuff I do, look, I've got all types of genres, and I do write a lot of sci-fi. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of different publishers, and yeah, no, it's fantastic. I think in terms of a medium, comics is definitely my favorite medium, and if somebody says, "Oh, use the comic as a storyboard," I would
Mm.
go, "No, you're not my friend anymore," because
Mm.
comics are so different to storyboards.
Yeah,
There's so many things you can, if you don't understand the medium, in between the panels, page turns, you name it. If somebody just says, "Oh, it's just a storyboard," I'll go, "You have
Yeah.
no idea what you're talking about." So
Yeah.
it, as a medium, it's absolutely fantastic. It's got its own intricacies, and like I said, if that's something you want an hour for, I'm happy to actually dissect
Yeah.
all the little nitty gritty stuff that makes it part of the medium. Where
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway,
Yeah.
anything
You
else?
you were speaking before about being ready. When did you know you were ready to
yeah.
create your first comic book and actually publish it?
You're never ready. I'll
Yeah.
absolutely call it. I'll
Yeah.
look. I can look.
But
back
what
at
made
some-
you like? What made you say I'm doing this now? Like, what was your crossroads saying? It's either I do this or I don't do this. Like, I need to do it, sort of thing.
It's
When did that happen?
okay. It's look. I've been writing bits and pieces and all the rest of it, and the best
Yeah.
time to do something is to do it right now.
Yeah.
And you're never ready in terms of anything creative, because if you keep saying wait until this point, you will never actually reach that point without doing. Um, I'll give you my lettering journey when I first started. My lettering when I first started was utter cringe. I look at some of the earlier works I've done, even some of the earlier published works I've done with lettering. I can't look at it. I'll absolutely call it. I cannot look at it because I'll go look at that error there. Look at that. How could she put that
Yeah.
there? And what? And even my writing, like, um, I'll give you an example of say some of the writing stuff. Like, I when I write comics, one of the things I always try to think is it has to read almost like a movie or a TV series. Narration is a really easy mechanic that people use, but it's also very a little bit, how do you say, it makes it sometimes too easy. If you,
Yeah.
for example, rather have a speech bubble, like a narration over someone's head saying, I feel very sad today,
Yeah.
just draw the guy looking sad. Or
Yeah.
a lot of times you find that um, you can, if it's one of the few mediums where you actually want to cut the words down, you want to cut the panels down. And when I look at my original stuff, I'm going, oh my god,
Yeah.
how did I get that through? But I also understand that if I never did that, if I never, if, and that's why I'm always thankful for a lot of the people who have come on the journey with me, who have supported me. They bought like librarians helped out, like both of you I know have also supported me, so thank you very much. But
Yeah.
if it's people who come on the journey with me, that you go, next time it will be better,
Yeah.
and the next time it will be better still. And I can honestly say, like, this was with Volume 5, it is so much better than what I did before. And we're
Yeah.
not even talking story wise, we're talking
Yeah.
technical delivery, quality, like, and even story, the dialogue. It's like stuff I'm going. I remember writing some dialogues. I feel very sad right now. I'm going, oh God, I actually wrote that as a line of dialogue. That's the most. That's nobody says I feel sad. It's you. I don't know the words for it, but if you know what I mean, it's there's so much better that you could do, and I was never ready, absolutely never ready. And so my best advice will always be: it doesn't matter if you're ready, just do it.
Yeah.
And you need you need to get all the bad stories out of you anyway. You need to get all the dumb things. I'll call it. I've got so many bad ideas. I've got so much crap ideas which I've written down, and until you get rid of those, you can't find the
Yeah.
ones which are actually a lot better. And it's one of those things. If you never get rid of the bad, you can never improve. So it's
Yeah.
one of those things. It's almost cathartic, if I mispronounced that word, but you have to get rid of all your bad story ideas, or your bad lettering, or your bad art. I do bad drawing as well. You have to get rid of all that, because you'll only get better when you improve from it. And if you always say, I'll wait until I'm better, you will never do it. You will
Yeah.
absolutely never do it. So
Yeah. So it's kind of like here I come, ready or not, sort of thing. It's like
exactly.
you're never ready, so just go for it.
Exactly. And screw
Yeah.
up. That I cannot emphasize that to enough people. Like, I think the old adage is fail often and fail fast.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fail, but don't get hung up on it. Like I
Learn
said, if
from it.
I look back at myself old work, I try not to. I really try not to. The I do sometimes, but really try not to, because if I look at it, I know it's not good enough, and I know
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I could have done better. And I've got an old book of story ideas which I have. I look through it and I just cringe. I absolutely
Yeah. Well,
cringe.
anyone that thinks they're going to succeed without failure isn't going to succeed.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
exactly.
All part of the journey. So yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I'll ask a question now. Let's get on to Wordsmith, because that's what this is all about.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
trying to promote your Kickstarter for you. So, what makes Wordsmith stand out in the fantasy genre, given its steampunk elements and so forth? What do you think makes it really appeal?
I love the world. You've got me to one of my favorite topics, the world building, and especially the world building in terms of Wordsmith. So the whole concept behind Wordsmith is, and we'll talk about what the world building aspect of it is. It's very much how people react to words. That's the absolute premise of it. I always give the example of the word home. What's
Yep.
home to you? Is home a physical place? Is home family? Is home your friends? What makes it a home? Is it a building? Like a particular word has so many different meanings to so many different people. And that's where conflict comes from. And that's why I absolutely love it that this little wordsmith, Victoria, she creates words for people and she thinks it's going to affect them a certain way. And instead, it affects them something totally different. And that was the whole concept, which I really love. I'll explain my favorite word so far. It came in book 2 and 3. Victoria was asked to make the word brave, and she couldn't do it. And then they said, "Why can't you make the word brave? The word doesn't exist." And they're going, "What do you mean? Brave doesn't exist?" Well, if you're brave, let's say, I'll give you an example. Like if you're, especially think about when you were a kid and you go to the swimming pool and you have the diving board and you see someone just run off the diving board and jump and he tumbles down a meter or two into the water. And everyone says, "Oh, he's so brave, he can do it." That's not brave because he's not afraid.
Okay.
Bravery has to come where you overcome fear. If you're not afraid of something, you're not being brave. If you weren't afraid, you would run up that diving board and jump it 100 times. That's not being brave. But the one little kid who can't jump off because they're so afraid, "Oh, I don't know what's going to happen," and still takes the leap, that kid's brave. So when she was arguing, making the word, when she was asked to make the word brave, she instead made the word fear. And she was trying to say, "Hey, there's no such word as brave. It's fear. And if you can overcome being afraid, overcome the word fear, then you're brave."
That's
I
nice.
and that's the type of stuff I love to play with, and that's the whole world. Like it's playing with that. Now, in terms of fantasy, man, I'm a big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender and things like that. And the one aspect which I really always love is the little pets. I have to really admit, if you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have Momo, you have Appa, which is if you haven't watched the series, it's a giant flying bison, and all these really cool
Mm.
animals. And I'm going, if I'm going to make something, there has to be cute animals in it. So I made a
Yeah.
little cute dragon. I have a little red panda. I haven't introduced the sloth character yet. There's a little baby sloth who's going to come further down the track. But I really love the aspect of the little animal helpers, like the whole Disney animal helper thing. And I made sure they all have different personalities, and it's all a lot of good fun. Um, the reason why I chose steampunk, and if you ever go into the different punk genres, you've got each genre of punk has its own themes involved. I'll give you an example. Uh, Cyberpunk, for example, is usually dystopian. Government is Big Brother's watching, blah blah blah. It's very very dark. Cyberpunk on the whole. There's something I don't know if you know. Have you heard of the term diesel punk, which is very much
Yeah.
World War II?
Oh, okay.
Because if you think of,
Yeah.
it's where the all the punks come from the power source. Like diesel punk is if you use diesel fuel, it's very it's usually set in war scenarios. It's really a bad situation. Steampunk is actually really fun because steampunk is usually set early Victorian, like early England Victoria type era, first steam engines. What actually makes that era a lot of fun? It was actually the era of invention. That was just after around the time of the industrial revolution, where everybody thought anything was possible. If you can think it, you can invent it. And there were a lot of occupations around the time where what's your occupation? I am an inventor. Like, imagine how cool would it be to go back to that time, as you said. And it's also a very optimistic era
Hmm.
because you were inventing stuff. It's cyberpunk is not optimistic. I'll just call it out. It's horribly pessimistic. But steampunk as a genre is actually a very optimistic genre. And if you look at how a lot of the characters are, I wanted this to be a little bit all ages. Actually, I didn't write it as an all ages book. I actually wrote it that kids, anybody can read it, but I wrote it as there's no blood, there's no gore, no nudity, and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I removed all that elements from it. But the whole point would be it's written for people to enjoy, but I didn't write it down for kids. It's still the story is still the same. It deals with words and concepts, but it's not simple concepts to deal with. So back to your original why steampunk? Because it's a happy. It's very inventive. It's very optimistic, and I wanted a world like that where it was a much happier world. And I purposely chose the world building for it to be happier than that. Look, I've done a cyberpunk book, and that's people getting killed, murderers, serial killers, and
Yeah.
it's really dark and technology's taking over. Steampunk isn't that way. Steampunk is always happy, and I wanted. It's my happy book. I don't know if you guys can pick it. It's my absolute happy book.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I might throw one question before I let Lucas go.
Yeah.
You talked about the words giving different emotions, all that sort of stuff, depending on who reads it. How did you come up with that concept to make words and people be affected by them differently? Where did that come from? Where in your brain did that come from?
Look, I speak a couple of languages, and it's
Okay.
always been fun. Like, like for example, where I come from Malaysia, so the national language of Malaysia is Bahasa Melayu. I went to Chinese school. I speak English as well. So a lot of words have total different meanings between cultures. I'll give you an example. And in Malay, there's something called makan angin. In Chinese, it's sek feng. In English, it's eat wind. Now, eat wind has no meaning in English. Absolutely no meaning in English. Doesn't make sense. In Malay, what it means is, it's like, do you want to go out? Because it's implying you're leaving the house and you're eating the wind. It's kind of like, hey, let's go out, have some fun. You say to a group of friends, hey,
Right.
all of us, let's go eat the wind. It's implied you guys go out and have fun. In Chinese, if you said to somebody in Chinese to eat wind, you actually call them crazy because you can't eat the wind. So you're doing something that's crazy. So you must be crazy. So all these words have all these different connotations, and I absolutely. And one thing is English, in terms of the vocabulary, has about 100,000 English words, give or take. In Chinese, there's only about five to 8,000. So the English vocabulary is about 20 times larger than the Chinese vocabulary. What does that mean? Context and words in Chinese mean so much more. The same word, if I put a different prefix, different suffix, different whatever, it changes the meaning entirely. Even in the way you say it, inclination, it changes it. Now, the word is the same, but a particular word can have 6, 7 different meanings just based on where it's sitting or even what situation I use it. And
wow.
and when I was growing up, especially in Chinese, I loved that as a concept. And I was always thought about, hey, how do I bring that concept up to English words? And with English words, it's exactly like I told you. It's understanding a lot of the etymology behind certain words, as well as what the word means to different people. And
I like that.
I absolutely love it. Like it's a really fun concept. And man, if you ever dig into certain words, and I always used to use the word example of say the word no in terms of what it means to different people. No means so. Saying no to a toddler can start a temper tantrum. Saying no to somebody else can break their heart. But sometimes saying no is a respectful boundary which you protect yourself in. it's still the same word, but god damn it, the emotions that come from the word no, it could be crazy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I love it. That's the whole concept behind wordsmith.
That's
That
cool.
words have a lot of power to them.
Yeah.
I
So
like
would
that.
you say Wordsmith is an educational book?
Uh, no.
No.
Yes
Okay.
and no. Yes and no.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yes and no.
Because like me,
I'll
me,
say
me being dyslexic, when I think of like Wordsmith, the kind of book would be something that I would have needed through school. Would have helped me a lot with like understanding words and stuff and languages. Like there's like an
it
area
teaches you a
there
lot
where
of
I see
context.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys, from where you are, but in different states of Australia, that's what they call the Premise Reading Challenge. So New
Yeah.
South Wales has it, Victoria. I think Queensland has it as well, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. Basically, what it means is if you're in primary school, if you're year one, you have to read 20 books from an approved list of
Mm.
books they have to read. And you tick it off. If you pass it, they give you a certificate at the end of the year from the Premier. So Wordsmith Volume 1 and Volume 2 are both on the New South Wales Premier's Reading Challenge list. So
Oh, nice.
you can read it and tick off your books. It's also in, I think, last count about 500 different school libraries, give or take.
Yeah.
And I did write it as an educational thing because what I always find is if you write a story and you try to use it to educate, you tend not to write the best story. And the reason behind it is you have a split purpose. It's I'm writing it for education. Now, if you write a good story that just happens to be able to educate at the same time,
Mm.
that's what resonates because people actually enjoy reading the story and you kind of trick them into learning something new as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
trick them into getting a different concept.
Yeah.
And like for example, when I did my HSC, and this is way, way, way back,
Mm.
there was three levels of English. Contemporary, general, and related English.
Yeah.
Related with your Shakespeare or whatever. But on the contemporary English, the English, you could do Star Wars as
Yeah.
your main text. Star
Okay.
Wars episode 4
Wow.
was the main text. Now,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, George Lucas didn't write Star Wars to be critiqued and ripped
Yeah.
apart about
Yeah.
the hero's journey and stuff like that. But because it's so enjoyable, when people critique it, it can be used as an educational purpose.
Yeah.
So, and
It's kind of like
it's just
hiding. It's kind of like hiding the vegetables in the gravy.
that
You don't know.
you said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Analogy.
It's like, hey, I'm learning from this, but I don't know who I am. It's like, yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
It's like, damn it, you're actually learning.
Yeah.
Just in terms of say the learning aspect of it, it's like I do a lot of school workshops and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
they love it. It's a really easy thing to talk to, and one thing actually interesting that comes out of it is every volume has a particular word I use. I think
Yeah.
the first volume was dream, second one was brave, and the third one was fear. I try to pick a word that I explore. But what it also lets people do is it teaches context, which I think is something that's usually missed in terms of learning grammar or learning stories. A lot of times, it's very, very difficult to teach context. Sorry, and having a book that shows context in terms of the story, it's like, oh, that's what they mean because of that. He was sad, and he said that because he was sad. So those words, you have to take it in a context that this guy was sad when he said it. And I find a lot of teachers are able to convey that a lot better to kids, because sometimes if a kid says, how are you feeling? I'm feeling okay. That's not always going to be correct because that okay doesn't come with context. And I think that's what the feedback I tend to get. They're trying to use kids to understand context a lot better. Because most kids will go, oh, I asked my friend, he was okay. He said okay. Nothing's wrong. It could be everything is wrong, but you just need to understand what's behind the word okay. Like what's behind the word no.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Volume 5 wraps up the family saga. Without spoilers, how does it tie together the journey from Volume 1?
So what I've done is, and this is where there's a conscious decision for this. I like this. I actually wrote Wordsmith in my head in terms of the story outlines. In terms of, um, if you guys ever watched TV shows like The Mentalist, or you watch TV shows like what was the other one, um, Fugitive, and all those type of TV shows, where or even X Files, for example. And I know a lot like X Files. You have every issue deals with almost the word of the week, where you can when you read it, you can actually get the story as it is. Now there are overarching plots that go across all the volumes. There is a potential war brewing. There's characters who have changed over time, all the rest of it. But anybody can jump in at any point, and if you read each issue by itself, it's still a complete story. And I actually made it a point to do that. Now, there's going to be almost a season finale for Wordsmith that's going to come up. I actually estimate the season finale at about volume 7 or 8, where you can't just watch the season finale and expect, because I'll be tying up all loose ends in it. But up until the season finale, every episode can be read by itself or watched by itself, if you will, without context of the other volumes. I use the word again. But if you have context, oh man, you're in for a ride, because you'll start to see all the little. I drop plot seeds basically all throughout the volumes that I'm hoping to actually cash in it, if you will, right at the end when I do the season 1 finale, and
Nice.
I'm so excited to do it. So that's how I wrote it. I wrote it as each individual episodes, but there is an overarching theme with a season finale at the end, like X Files.
So Sparky is Victoria's loyal companion. Sorry. Can you share your favorite moment between them from the whole series?
There is Sparky actually starts as the egg, and it's actually shown. So there is a flashback to where Victoria actually gets Sparky for the first time, and I'll spoil a little bit, but it's not going to spoil the entire arc, because if you read it, you see the story. Basically, Victoria does something inadvertently, and she hurts her best friend when she was a kid. She says something she didn't mean it that way, but the best friend misheard it in the way she wants to hear it, and basically he stopped being her best friend. And at that moment, she's down in the dumps, and that's where she gets given her first pet, which is Sparky as an egg. And what you find is when she's learning to become a wordsmith, because in the world of wordsmith as well, just to give you a bit more background, everybody does apprentices. Everybody's an apprentice. So when she starts apprenticeship with Sparky, there's one scene which I love, and actually, if you want, I'll bring up that one scene, because there's one point where Victoria doesn't do a good job, and so her teacher doesn't give her a cookie. But then Sparky decides to, you know what? I'll share my cookie with her, but it's But look, the main thing would be is Sparky is almost Victoria's enabler, and I didn't want Sparky to, in terms of writing dynamics, I didn't want Sparky to be her conscience. The don't do this, whatever. I wanted her to be almost a partner in crime, and I think that's something that is kind of missed a little bit especially when in all ages books, that you tend to have the Jiminy Crickets, that don't do this, it's not the right thing to do, or whatever. But man, how can you remember the last kids book, movie, or whatever, when you had the enabler, the one who goes, you know what the hell, and I think that's missed. I really think that's missed. That as a character trope, it's a really fun character trope, and nobody seems to want that in kids anymore. And I think that's the biggest shame, because I think
so. It's a character that makes the character take the risks and to step outside their comfort zone and do different things.
Correct.
Yeah. And the only way to go on that journey is if you have that someone who takes you there and learns new things with them and stuff. So
correct. And this the thing is, I think that's an absolute mistrope, because nowadays you find most of the tropes tends to be the conscience, the voice of reason. Let's get wacky adventures going. Forget the voice of reason. Let's absolutely stuff it up.
Yeah.
And that's why I do like that. And that's kind of a little bit what Sparky is, but the other thing is Sparky is fiercely loyal to Victoria, and
Yeah.
Sparky is also, in character-wise, he has his own different traits and that, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. The series is in over 500 libraries and 200 schools. How does knowing younger readers enjoy Wordsmith influence your writing?
Uh, in terms of influence the writing,
Yeah.
not really too much because, like I said earlier, I don't try to make it the educational for the sake of teaching. I want to
Yeah.
tell a good story that just may happen to resonate with whoever reads it. Look, I have to admit, I do have a guilty pleasure. I do stalk libraries in terms of their websites. So and you guys know I do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not sorry. Hashtag. I do check every once in a while to see whether a book is out on loan. I don't even know. Nearly every library has an online catalog, which means you can check whether someone's borrowed or not borrowed it. I do check, and whenever I see it out on loan, it does really make me happy because you get the sense that hey, someone's actually reading or borrowing it and they're enjoying it. Uh, I do really like feedback, and I know a lot of people do send feedback back to me, which I really do appreciate. And to tell you the truth, I don't, and I had some bad feedback as well, and it's come true. And for example, Volume One doesn't have a happy ending. There's actually a husband and wife in Volume One, and they split up at the end of it. And one teacher actually wrote to me and says, "Oh, kids can't read this. You know, it'll distress them, all the rest of it." And I fair enough. I said, "Look, totally get it. Glad, thank you for reading it. Thank you for appreciating it." But then you get the reverse of some of the teachers going, "I love it. I love that you broke them up at the end because kids don't always have happy outcomes in the end, and too many stories will show always, hey, look, I split these two couple. This couple had an argument in the beginning. At the end of the story, they make reconcile and they come back together."
Yeah.
I didn't do that because in life, not everybody is
It's
always going to work out that way,
mm,
and so you're never you're never going to please everybody.
mm,
But at least I want to make sure that I'm happy with it, so I
yeah.
please myself. And what I always just hope for is come on the ride with me, come on the journey, and enjoy it because there are many things that you think you don't like, which is fair enough. But I just hope it challenges you a little bit to go. You know what? I'm glad that wasn't a happy ending because maybe something else is. Because sometimes, and a happy ending won't lead on to growth. And
Mm,
I, the usual stat: 50% of Australia of kids are divorced in Australia. About half marriages fail. It's happening, and just because there's a split, it doesn't mean that you're still not going to get your happy ending in the end. You're still going to grow from it. And I've got friends who are from split homes. That's fine because if both parents will work towards it, it still works. And so having everything always perfect, rosy colored, absolutely,
yeah.
it stops people from growing. And back
Yeah.
to one of the original questions that you had before, that's why I was saying just do it. Because if you don't just do stuff and you wait for it to be perfect, you're never going to grow and it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. Well, and ask you, what is one scene in Volume 5 you're most excited for fans to see without spoiling the story?
Oh man, um, I actually have spoiled it a little bit because it's actually on the on the campaign page.
Oh,
But
okay.
so I'm actually happy to spoil this one because it is one of my absolute favorite scenes, and I'm hoping this works.
There we go. Oh, I never
Uh,
did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can make it, can you make it full screen? Or
I should be able to.
I
I've
can
never
zoom
seen
in.
it do this before.
That's okay. I can zoom in. I can zoom in because
Okay.
I'm happy to, and
Why is it
I
doing that?
and I'll tell you why I really like this. This is the first couple of pages,
I love that
and
page.
I've shared this already. So number one, I absolutely love this because it And this is one of the tricks you can do in comics, in paneling, which you can't do with a movie, you can't do with anything else. It basically shows that these two characters are flying the plane. It implies all that. And having them at different angles, it also implies you're doing all the tricks. So I absolutely love this page. And so this is one of my favorite scenes. And yeah, actually comes from the page, and and so the next page is they're flying in. But my favorite piece of what's happening is this. They've landed on the page, and they're talking, but in this scene, if you can, I'll quote some of the dialogue.
Yeah, I found how to boost it. Sorry.
Fantastic. So in this page, it's saying something without saying something, and that's why I'm really, really happy with this. Is this guy's Boris, and this is Natasha. And Boris, if you can read it, he's actually really interested in Natasha. Natasha has no idea. She has no idea. So he's trying to say, you fly, and by the way, they're Russian. So you've got to imagine this with a little bit of a Russian accent when they're talking.
Oh, okay, yep.
So I actually based this. So you fly fast, Ja. He's slow, Ja. What do you see in him? So, and he's trying to say, well, I fly fast, so, maybe you should be interested in me. Like, he's trying to say it, and I can be kind of sweet. But she misreads it totally. It's like, oh, I know what you're saying. I can set you up with somebody. But it's totally not what he wants. And then she's like, oh, don't get shy. You have to be brave and confident. And I will show you and I love this page because it's, if you've ever had unrequited love, this is the panel that will break your heart. I'll love to play matchmaker for you. I'll do this. You're like family to me, like my brother.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ouch.
I absolutely love this. That's one of my absolute favorite pages because, and I'll stop sharing for a second because I'll explain why, how I've improved basically. Because in the past, you might want to stop the share panel and bring me back on.
Oh, sorry, I picked on the wrong thing.
I'm back because in the past, it looked to be really fair. And initial draft would have been along the lines of, oh, I really like you, maybe we could go out and stuff like that. It would have been something like that. But that's not how people talk. And that's where I say my writing, in terms of subtlety, has improved, that I can tell a story without having to beat you over the head with the said story. Like you saw in those contexts, she misreads the context, but as the audience reading it, you still feel the pain of, you're like a baby brother to me. And you still feel that absolute pain of it for the character without him having to say, oh, God,
Yeah. You already know.
The heart's been ripped out. But that's kind of where that's exactly. And that's also where, by the way, the other thing I've also really learned in terms of writing words before the rest of it is I like to take different perspectives of the word. So that's one perspective of the word family.
Yes, true.
So if you read the entire words, there'll be multiple perspectives of how the word family affects. So it's not just, okay, I open the box, I see the word, that's how I react. When you write a good story, and this thing I've learned, it needs to be very thematic. That theme carries through all the different characters, and different characters see the word family in different ways.
Okay.
So in this case, Boris hates to be family because he doesn't want to be family. He doesn't want to be the baby brother.
No, he does not.
In terms of context, that's where I think. Look, I'm really oversimplifying it, but I really hope you guys read it because it's something which had an absolute pleasure putting it all together.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And I'm gonna, if you've got time, I'm gonna ask you another question.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any hidden details or Easter eggs for people reading 5 who've read 1 through 4 that they should watch for?
My favorite thing I always do is there are a lot of cameos. Now, to be fair, I would say, look, I'm trying to raise some money as well. You can actually pay to be a cameo in it. But I also cameo a lot of people who uh, are friends and family and things like that. So people
Oh,
who
cool.
do support it will go. I always have this one joke. If you see somebody in any of my graphic novels and you go, wait, she's pretty cute or he's pretty cute, please do reach out to me because said person might be a real person. My funniest
I
one I've
like
ever
that.
had,
I
my
like
funniest one I've ever had,
getting
a
the
friend of mine
matchmaker.
go, exactly. A friend of mine, it didn't work out by the way, but I had a friend who goes, oh my God, that character, she's gorgeous. I'm going, would you like to meet her? I'm going, he goes, what do you mean? I say, yeah, well, this is a real person. Like I based it off this person's looks. She's real. Never set it up. I never did anymore. But
Oh.
that's the
So
one thing.
matchmaker
So
you are.
I'm a horrible matchmaker. But if you fall in love with somebody in my graphic novels, they might be a real person. Reach out and see what happens.
I like that. I like that, SK. That's awesome. Well, we are here to promote your Kickstarter. So instead of you, how can readers help spread the word about your Kickstarter and ensure that it reaches its goals or its stretch goals, I should say, because
Yeah.
it has already reached its goal quite well. So, what would you say to that?
Oh, look, the main thing is word of mouth is absolutely key. Like, tell your friends, share the link around, tag me in anything. I would absolutely love it because the one thing we want to do is, um, if you probably guys do notice, the digital tiers are the most backed tiers by far. We're talking about more than 50% of people who back my project are digital.
Oh,
I
wow.
love it because it means people who back it want to read it, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean. And look, people who back physical, I love you as well, but I know you want to collect, and I'm all for that as well. I'm a hoarder as well, both physically and digitally. But the main
Don't put
thing
the
with me
camera that
is
way.
oh, you should see this books behind me. But the main thing would be is just tell your friend, share the link around, if especially if it excites you or the concept works for you. Links in the below. Click on the link.
Yeah.
Do check it out. And even if you can't support it this time, share it around like that. I really appreciate that, and it's always fantastic when word gets around about it.
Awesome. And we'll end on what's the most rewarding part of creating Wordsmith over the year?
Look, the feedback, 100%
Yep.
the feedback. It's when people come back to me and they say, and it's the good and bad. I don't mind. It's if I have made a reaction out of you, good or bad. I think that's important, and I absolutely love it when people come back and say that part grabbed me this way, or that part really I don't resonate with, and that's absolutely fine, because what it meant is it actually reached you on some level, and the worst comment you can really get back was it was okay. It
Oh,
really
yeah.
is because it meant it, it meant nothing to you really. But the
Right.
comments when I get back with people, I loved it, or like I told you, one of the teachers came back to me and says, I hated how you didn't reconcile the
Yep.
couple in the end. That's absolutely fine because it just meant that it worked for you, or didn't work for you
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah.
case. But more importantly, it actually made you enough to come back to actually reach out to me. So I always encourage. The one thing which I haven't done, and I've made it a point that I would love to do a proper letters column. Uh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just I just haven't really got around to it yet, and a
Mhm.
lot of people who do, and I actually did do a letters column sort of, uh, but there is an issue. This is more a privacy legal issue that because it goes to a lot of school kids. I always make sure that I can't just publish a kid's words or names without
Oh,
and it actually makes it a little bit more tricky to do letters because the feedback I tend to get are from schools.
from schools. Yep. That makes
So
sense. That makes sense.
they write to the teacher then sends me the feedback, and I usually ask the question, can I use this feedback? And I usually get the answers, it's for you, you cannot publish the feedback because
Oh, yeah.
it's kids feedback.
Bummer.
But it is, but I love getting the feedback. It's just that I can't share it with you, and that actually breaks my heart a little bit. I would love to share so much of the feedback I get.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. But yeah, the things are what they are. So what I'm going to do is show the Kickstarter. This is what you'll be looking for at the time of the recording. $14,157. That's how popular this is, and there's a good reason it's popular, because these are excellent books. So, EsKay, is there anything you want to say about the Kickstarter? And I'm on the wrong page here.
No, that's the right page. Look, thank you very much for having me on. Please do check it out. I do ramble a bit. I'm not the best salesperson. I just hope if you look through the page, if it excites you enough, I just hope you can support it or help spread the word. It's really much appreciated.
Awesome. And we shall end the show on the video. Let's hope this works.